So that guy I met on eHarmony? Yeah. We're out together last night and I step off a curb and snap, heel breaks right off my shoe.
Oh no.
So I say, hell with it, take them off so I'm barefoot, and you'll never guess.
What?
He leans over, takes off his shoes and socks, and now we're both...
You're joking.
Amazing, right?
At eHarmony, you'll find someone you can be yourself with. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up for eHarmony today. So, that girl I met on eHarmony. Yeah. We're out to dinner last night, and like a klutz, I tipped my drink all over myself. Oh, no. And it's all down my shirt, a horrible stain, so embarrassing. And you'll never guess.
What?
She smiles, picks up her drink, spills it all over her top. So now we're...
No way.
Amazing, right?
At eHarmony, you'll find someone you can be yourself with. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up for eHarmony today.
There's an ingredient that nobody's really talking much about that's being sneaked into our food and is eroding our first line of defense against all of the chronic diseases of aging. The most likely things to take away our resilience or kill us early are metabolic dysfunction, cardiovascular disease, cancer, neurodegenerative disease, and autoimmune diseases. We have a built-in protective defense system, but it's getting literally dissolved away by this food ingredient. Eliminating it will help you age at an elite level so you're capable of living more as you get older rather than less. You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 175. Smart women, watch out for this food ingredient. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to another episode. I'm so happy to be with you today. How did Election Day go for you? Did you remember that you're voting all day, every day for your future self? Everything you do is a vote for a resilient and strong you who has prevented the chronic diseases of aging, or one who does what everybody else does and has all the, quote, normal limitations imposed by age. Who do you want to vote for today? While I do believe that the easy path leads to the hard life and the hard path leads to an easy life, I know that the harder votes can also be the funner and more enjoyable path. That we can work together to make the things that you enjoy the most and the things that are best for your future the same. How cool is that? Send me a message at healthcouragecollective@gmail.com or come visit my website, thehealthcouragecollective.com, to get started. Today, we're going to talk about a food ingredient that affects your health span in a big way, but not many people are aware of it. Good thing you're not like most people. I think just being aware of this class of food ingredient and understanding its implications can help you make choices that are more likely to put more years lived in good health into your future. We're going to talk about 3 things that seem kind of separate, but don't worry, I'll tie them together, and if I do my job right, it'll all make sense and you'll be smarter than most people. First off, along the inside of the tube that is your intestines, you have these intestinal epithelial cells that are kind of the city wall that precisely controls whether everything from the outside world that went down your mouth will be admitted or rejected from your body. These epithelial cells have a hugely important job, and if they get damaged by mechanical, chemical, or biological weapons isn't quite the right word, insults maybe, if they're damaged, they don't do their job right, and good stuff might not get in, or more likely, bad stuff will. We don't want that, so we want to protect them. Lucky for us, there are 2 layers of protection for our intestinal epithelial cells. There's something called the glycocalyx that is like a little mucousy layer that is attached to the cell walls of the epithelial cells. We're going to talk a ton more about the glycocalyx in 3 weeks. For now, just know that it's a protective layer attached to the cells that need protecting. In the intestine, there's also something called the mucin layer. This is a much thicker layer of mucus that's not attached to the cell walls, but it covers the insides of the intestines. It's highly effective at protecting the epithelial cells from mechanical, chemical, and biological damage, including damage that could come from digestive enzymes and bacteria that are supposed to be there. It also protects the epithelial cells from dehydration, and it's kind of a surface cleaner, trapping and flushing away debris that you don't want sticking around. It also requires that good things like water, nutrients, and electrolytes be able to pass through it first before they reach the cells, and bad things can't get through. And it collaborates with the immune system to protect against attacks. The mucin layer is also a good intermediary between the bacteria in your gut and in your body. Some of those bacteria have nefarious intentions, and some of them produce postbiotics that are essential for us to be able to avoid disease. The mucin layer helps nurture the good guys and allows their health-promoting metabolites to get into our system and keep the bad guys out. The main structural component of the mucin layer is mucin, surprise, surprise, which is a protein, but it's 90 to 95% water, 1 to 2% lipids, and has some electrolytes and other stuff in it too. A healthy and robust mucin layer protects us from intestinal problems, but also heart disease, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, autoimmune diseases, and metabolic problems. Several good gut buddies help maintain a healthy mucin layer, the main one being Akkermansia mucinophila. You want that one living in your microbiome, as much of it as you can get. If you want to live more years with fewer diseases, you want a healthy and intact mucin layer in your intestines. It really is the first line of defense, not just for your digestive system, but for your whole body health. Okay, shifting gears, let's talk about laundry. How do you feel about it? We just got a new washer and dryer for the first time in 22 years of marriage, so that feels very luxurious. A little while ago, we listened to a podcast with a guy who calls himself the laundry evangelist, who is just very passionate about laundry, which I love. He made me think more about the best way to care for my textiles. I just got his book, Laundry Love, from the library, and I'm only on chapter 1 so far, I think, but I'll let you know how much I like it. Since listening to him, I finally bought mesh laundry bags, which I probably should have been using all along, and we switched from laundry detergent to laundry soap, which is not the same thing, and we're loving it so far. I learned some other cool things from him. His name is Patrick Richardson, if you want to check him out. Anyway, we all know that washing our dirty textiles is a never-ending chore. I'm so glad I don't have to make my own lye soap and scrub my clothes on a washboard till my hands turn red and hang them all up with clothespins, etc. Luckily, we have high-efficiency washers and dryers that come in pretty colors and play cute little songs when the load is done. The first few times I used our new ones, I thought the ice cream man was at my house, and then I realized, oh, my laundry's done. We have highly efficient laundry detergents or soaps, but those are significantly harder to find, that can do the hard work for us. Detergents and soaps are made of surfactants, which are long molecules that have a water-loving head on one side and a water-hating tail on the other side. The tail is attracted to grease and stain in our clothes, and the head remains soluble in water, and the whole thing reduces the water tension that separates water from grease. This allows the dirt and stains in our laundry to be lifted out by surfactants and carried away in the rinse water. Pretty great, right? While we're talking about household chores, which do you like better, cooking or laundry? Laundry is one of my least despised chores, actually, but under the correct circumstances, I love to cook. I'm sure you know that an important part of a lot of recipes is getting fats and water-soluble ingredients to blend correctly. The most obvious one is salad dressing, but there are lots of things in cooking that require the use of an emulsifier to allow the lipids and the water to mix. That emulsion is what gives us creaminess and sometimes thickness and a good mouthfeel to things that we cook. We love those things. Egg yolks are the most common emulsifier used in regular home baking. Some other emulsifiers that people might use at home are mustard, honey, lecithin, and xanthan gum or guar gum. Nobody wants a dish with oil floating on top of water-soluble ingredients. Some things like milk are natural emulsions, with casein being the thing that keeps the oil and the water from separating. We also want the right texture to our food. Emulsifiers can help with that, as do thickeners. I'm sure you know that when you want to thicken something you're cooking, you often add cornstarch, flour, arrowroot powder, tapioca, or potato starch. This can help give us the correct consistency for our dish. Surfactants, which are in detergents and soaps, reduce surface tension between two substances. Emulsifiers are a special type of surfactant that does this too, but they're also able to stabilize the mixture, coating the fat droplets to keep the oil and the water mixed for longer. And many emulsifiers also create more thickness and smoothness to whatever they're put in. Hey, I wanted to briefly interrupt to ask if you're curious about female bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, the kind that's usually started around the time of perimenopause. What it is, what it does, how it works, what it's like. If so, you should check out my Udemy course called The Basics of Female Bioidentical Hormone Replacement Therapy. The course goes over the pros and cons of using hormone treatment, which hormones are usually included with BHRT, how they're used, the lab tests that are used, some tips for finding a prescriber in pharmacy to work with, and how to develop a rough estimate of how much BHRT will cost you. If you've been wondering whether bioidentical hormone replacement therapy is right for you, it's time to close that open loop, stop wondering, and move forward with confidence. Enroll in my course today. As a listener of the podcast, you can get a special discount for the very best price. It's a no-brainer. I would just tell you the coupon code, but Udemy makes me change it every month. So check the show notes or go to www.healthcouragecollective.com/Udemy to find the special podcast listener discount code that's only for awesome people like you. Okay, back to the episode. Now, what do these three things have to do with one another? The mucin layer in your gut, surfactants in detergents, and emulsifiers in food? Well, one of the many contributors to the epidemic of chronic diseases in our modern world could be a food ingredient that really isn't talked about a lot, but it could be doing a lot to decrease our health span. Emulsifiers. You or I might emulsify something with egg yolks or mustard, but there are over 100 different emulsifiers used in packaged food, and we're starting to realize that they do a lot more than just prevent the oil in the water from separating. They're likely dissolving our mucin layer. Without its protection, our intestinal epithelial cells can't do their job properly, and not as much good stuff can get in, and at the same time, that means lots of bad stuff starts getting in. In episode 160, we talked about intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut. It's pretty common in our modern world to have things that aren't supposed to be getting into our bodies getting in. Fragments of dead bacteria, proteins from whole grains and legumes, and other stuff. They get through when the fortification isn't strong enough and they freak our immune system out, causing chronic inflammation and a whole host of other things like plaques in our arteries, plaques in our brains, autoimmune diseases, insulin resistance, chronic pain, cancer, even depression and anxiety. It's a whole thing. People are slowly starting to catch on, but they often don't realize that one of the things that's weakening our defenses is emulsifiers in food. New and improved emulsifiers are great at keeping oils and water-soluble ingredients mixed, and they add thickness and a wonderful creamy texture, and they keep foods shelf-stable. It's fantastic for the food industry. The only problem is that it's probably destroying our mucin layer and increasing our chances of getting all of the diseases that make us stop living before we die. Like, really, do you want to eat more of the things that are sucking the health out of your future? I didn't think so. So how do you know whether what you're eating is destroying the defenses that keep you from developing a whole host of chronic diseases? It's so hard to just read off a list of emulsifiers and have it stick in your mind, but let's quickly go over a few of the most common ones so it will jog your memory the next time you look at a package label. I know it can feel overwhelming to have yet another list of 100 more things that you shouldn't eat, but it's not. I promise. Just go with me on this. You already know that you want to avoid as many things as possible with added sugar, and you want to avoid as many things as possible with industrial seed oils. Most things with industrial emulsifiers have both of those things too, and they come in a package. The more ultra-processed foods you avoid, the less you have to look at the labels. And I think it's important to know that most of us are creatures of habit, so we tend to buy and eat the same things over and over. Focus on making sure your go-to items don't have these emulsifiers, and that'll be most of what you eat, and you won't have to check every single time you eat something. See? Easy. You can do this. Okay, egg yolks emulsify because they have lecithin. Totally fine to do if you're cooking at home. Today, lecithin is extracted from marine sources, cottonseed oil, soybeans, and rapeseed oil. Rapeseed oil is the real name for canola oil. You definitely don't want to eat a lot of canola oil, but rapeseed lecithin seems to be kind of not that bad. Overall, too much lecithin would be harmful, but I think it's one of the less bad emulsifiers in very occasional doses. I didn't know pectin acted as an emulsifier, but it's naturally found in apples and other fruits. I remember using pectin while making grape and strawberry jams with my mom as a kid, and I think it's pretty low down on the list of potential problems. Agar-agar is an emulsifier that's a good thickener and is mostly found in jelly, baked goods, dairy products, beverages, and meat products. It has actually been shown to protect midgut epithelial cells in fruit flies. Not sure if that translates to humans yet, but it seems maybe not that bad. Maltodextrin is a type of emulsifier that we don't know too much about yet. Okay, you're following along. So far we have lecithin, pectin, agar-agar, and maltodextrin. Next up we have glycerol monolaurate. This sounds bad to me because I know a lot of people try to avoid laurates in their body wash and shampoo, and it might be a bad emulsifier. I do think you'd be better off without all of these, but in mice, GML reduces levels of pro-inflammatory cytokines, circulating LPS's visceral fat deposition, and protects the intestinal epithelium. We don't know if it does that in humans yet, so I wouldn't say that it's a superfood, but maybe it's less bad than some of the others. It's found in cakes, breads, and ice creams. Rhamnolipids and sophorolipids are biodegradable surfactants found in hamburger, baguettes, pizza, croissants, salad dressing, breads, cakes, biscuits, and ice cream. Propylene glycol alginate is made from combining propylene glycol with alginic acid from seaweed. It's found in salad dressings, ice cream, beer, frozen foods, baked goods, and jelly. Mono and diglycerides are emulsifiers made from sunflower, palm, and soybean oils and are found in lots of processed foods, including baked goods, salad dressings, peanut butter, chocolate, frozen foods, and infant formula. Carboxymethylcellulose is an emulsifier and thickening agent made from wood pulp or cotton lint and acetic acid. It's tasteless and odorless and improves mouthfeel. It's often used in batters, syrups, ice cream, candy, chewing gum, ketchup, snack foods, baked goods, cosmetics, toothpaste, laxatives, paper, textiles, water-based paints, detergents, reusable heat packs, and it's the main ingredient in KY jelly. Some studies have shown carboxymethylcellulose to be harmful. Polyglycerols are emulsifiers that reduce viscosity used in salad dressings, spreads, baked goods, chocolates, and other candy coatings, and in the industrial production of plastics. Yummy. Then there are the gums. Are you keeping up? I hope it's not just a word soup here. Glycerol monolaurate, rhamnolipids, sophorolipids, propylene glycol alginate, mono and diglycerides, carboxymethylcellulose, and polyglycerols. We're almost done, I promise. Now we have the gums. Guar gum, xanthan gum, and acacia gum. Guar gum is extracted from the endosperm of the guar bean, which is grown in India and Pakistan. It's a thickener, stabilizer, and emulsifier used in cold products like salad dressing, ice creams, custards, yogurt, kefir, cereal, ketchup, and gluten-free baked goods. It's also the main ingredient in some laxatives. It's used in paper production, toothpaste, shampoo, explosives, and for oil well drilling. Xanthan gum is something I actually do have in my home kitchen. Perhaps that's not a good thing. It's made by having bacteria ferment a sugar solution. It's a thickener, stabilizer, and emulsifier in foods and beverages like salad dressing, sauces, baked goods, gluten-free baked goods, and dairy products. But there isn't too much data showing safety concerns with xanthan gum. Acacia gum is derived from the sap of an acacia tree, which grows in Africa. It's an emulsifier, stabilizer, texturizer, and source of fiber. It's the same thing as gum arabic. It's often used in icings, fillings, soft candy, chewing gum, and soft drinks. Okay, are you surviving? Is your brain wandering? Stay with me. We only have 2 left. Polysorbate 80 is sometimes called tween 80. It's made from a sugar alcohol, and it's a non-ionic surfactant used in salad dressings, chocolates, and ice cream, frozen custard, ice milk, and sherbet. It increases ice cream's resistance to melting. It's also used in cake mixes, bread, salad dressings, and shortening, and in facial cleansers, shampoos, pharmaceuticals, and supplements containing fat-soluble vitamins. It's particularly devastating to your mucin layer and microbiome. That's polysorbate 80. Lastly, we have carrageenan. This is a seaweed extract, which seems like it wouldn't be too bad, but it is. It's really harmful to your mucin layer and to your microbiome. Carrageenan is a gelling agent, thickener, stabilizer, and emulsifier. Its use has exploded over the last 20 years. It's used to emulsify chocolate milk, ice cream, cottage cheese, sour cream, processed meats, mayonnaise, infant formula, yogurt, milk alternatives, and soy products. It can act kind of like a fat without being a fat, so it's popular in lots of low-calorie foods, giving a nice texture. It's also used as an alternative to gelatin in vegan products. Phew, you made it. I hope this was relevant and useful to you. Don't be overwhelmed by it or start to think that you're failing in some way if you don't remember every single name or check every single ingredient list of anything anyone you ever knew eats for the rest of your life. If you're prepared to do that, then that's great. But if not, just pay attention to themes. What did you hear over and over again? Salad dressing, baked goods, ice cream, ketchup. Start there. Salad dressings also have poor quality industrial seed oils, so making your own is always best if you can. And obviously, ice cream is not a health food, but for your occasional treat, make sure to buy a brand without all the stuff that destroys your first line of defense. Or make your own. I think it's totally possible to never buy a packaged baked good again. Just stay away from those. Your life will be so much better if you don't eat those. Then think about the products that you buy the most. If it's something you buy and eat regularly, do yourself the favor of checking its ingredients for emulsifiers. If your go-to yogurt, mayonnaise, peanut butter, etc. has one of these emulsifiers, especially carrageenan or polysorbate 80, do the one-time work of finding a new go-to brand. Their presence in infant formula makes me especially irate. I hope it does to you too. I've been paying more attention to the labels on things I eat regularly, like my protein bars and my True Fruit chocolate-covered raspberries, yogurt, sauces, tortillas, burrito bowls, etc. I think that it's useful. I found mono and diglycerides in my Lakanto sugar-free hot chocolate mix and soy lecithin in my protein powder. In addition to ruining your mucin layer, many of these emulsifiers can screw up your gut microbiome, which can amplify the emergence of all the chronic diseases even more and add to chronic, total body, low-grade inflammation. A smart, forward-thinking woman like you who knows to avoid emulsifiers in her food is doing the work to help things go right as she ages. Let me just quickly repeat the emulsifiers that I think are possibly the biggest problems for your health, but it's really hard to know for sure. Carrageenan, polysorbate 80, propylene glycol alginate, rhamnolipids, sophorolipids, mono and diglycerides, carboxymethylcellulose, polyglycerols, and guar gum. Keep an eye out for those, and you will be way ahead of the game. Obviously, the Occam's razor here is to avoid packaged foods altogether as much as possible. The more you can replace convenience foods with real, whole, single ingredient foods, the fewer emulsifiers you'll consume, and most likely the more fiber and polyphenols you'll get too, which are the very things your friendly bacteria need to grow and protect you. It really does make a difference. I think we hear so much about getting our macronutrient ratios right, that carbs or fat is bad, and that we forget to recognize that none of that stuff matters if we don't have our microbiome on our side. We really do need to eat for our bacteria first and our human selves second. Because way more genes that control our experience of life and health are bacterial genes than human genes, and we can't absorb what we eat properly into our human cells unless we have friendly bacteria helping us out and protecting us from harm. Thank you so much for being here and listening today. I know a list of emulsifiers isn't always the most exciting thing, but I think they will help you live better, and I think that you are great. Next week, I'm so excited we're going to talk about face yoga, what it consists of, and how it can help you improve your relationship with your face and your whole self as you get older. Until then, refuse to let industrial surfactants destroy your precious mucin layer, and don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.